So, as you see it, what's the best way to be human and alive and healthy? Or just human, alive, and healthy. The best way to be alive and healthy is to confront your problems from when you were young and learn from them so you can see everything as a whole, the good and the bad. If you're repressing thoughts, that's not helping you because you won't perceive the world around you in a healthy way, only through a repressed scope. If you're not repressed, or you're not feeling repressed, you can be more empathetic to other people's problems and you won't have such an ego. Then you'll be able to see everyone as one world and one society, and that's important because then you're not always thinking inwards all the time, and that's part of being human. So for the second question, seeing the good in the bad. Speak of a time that you experienced as bad, but how you end up seeing it as positive now. With perspective, you see that experience in a different light. So like a year and a half ago, my mom moved away to like about 9 hours north, and I only get to see her a couple of times a year now. And I experienced this as bad because first we didn't talk much before then anyways, but I've experienced it as bad because I felt like she kind of abandoned us. But then over time, I started to feel more mature about it, and that I was already grown up, so it was her choice to make in the first place. And before she left, we didn't have the best relationship, but ever since she moved, we talk a lot more, and she calls and we'll talk for hours, and when she does come down, then it's better than the times I'd ever see her before, which would probably only be at the same type of times around Christmas and birthdays and Easter and stuff anyways. And she's going to move back in a couple of years anyways, and then since we already have a better relationship, it'll even be better by then, hopefully. So yeah, that's that one. What do you avoid perceiving in yourself or relationships? What's very difficult for you to acknowledge, work on, or admit to others? What's the block to creative adjustment here? So I try to avoid perceiving or realizing that there's ever anything wrong. I believe that this impedes how well I perceive my social and physical surroundings because I'm denying half of what's going on in my life. Well, usually not half. Bad stuff usually isn't half of what's going on, but it could be. Hopefully it's not half. So if I ever get in an argument or someone is rude to me or something like that, I just don't try and think about it. I just try to ignore it as much as possible. And I don't think that's the best way to respond to it. It's usually in close relationships and like friendships. And the only block to creative adjustment, to change, is that I'd rather everything be good all the time, and that to change or have to talk about how I feel is harder, I think, than just facing something as being bad for a moment or for a day or something. And I think this is kind of about Gestalt self-concept of change, and part of the culture we live in North America, where no one wants to ever admit anything's wrong, and no one wants to ever change anything, and we're all in a bit of denial that things aren't as bad as they are, and that's a cultural thing too, I think. But some people take that full on, like they take on all their problems, and that just gets you burnt out too. So I don't think that's the best way to handle it. Like getting in arguments because someone scuffs your shoes and stuff like that. But at least telling people, like, say someone yells at you for some reason, or like just telling them how you feel, is probably a better way to do it. I'm probably not going to, but I've stood up for myself in certain circumstances lately, especially, that I think it's kind of working on it and making it better. So that's those 3 questions, and this isn't as awkward as I thought it would be.